Welcome to North Freeway Hyundai, Houston's #1 premier Hyundai dealership. Today we're pleased to bring you yet another one of Hyundai's exquisite new models. For more information about any of our inventory, visit northfreewayhyundai.com or come visit us at our brand new location on Interstate 45 North in Spring, Texas. So now, without any further ado, our feature presentation. Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. Today's review has now brought us here for a much more up-close and personal encounter with the newly refreshed and refinished 2014 Hyundai Genesis Coupe 2.0 Turbo. And now, with all of that being said, this is going to be a complete and in-depth review of the Genesis Coupe, and this does entail a complete startup and overview of the engine, as well as a good look at many of the unique and notable styling cues and multiple features, technologies, and creature comforts that now make up this newly reincarnated second coming of Hyundai's signature two-door sports car. And so, bearing all that new information in mind, let's go ahead and climb aboard and we'll check it out. To begin with, our rather basically equipped 2.0 Turbo tester today is wearing the Tsukuba Red exterior, the name of course implying to one of the most famous Japanese racing circuits of all time. But on our tester today, we do have the standard Hyundai proximity key, which, using the standard key fob here, provides complete remote-free access into the vehicle along with a standard push-button ignition. Gaining entry into the Genesis Coupe is as simple as having the key fob anywhere on your person, such as I have it here in my pocket. And as you just saw, just a moment ago, we just unlocked the Genesis Coupe. And both the locking and unlocking is done through the small black square button on both of the door handles. To lock and unlock, simply press it once. One beep indicates locking, and two beeps indicates unlock. And when you open the door, the window will actually lower just a hair to allow easier entrance into the vehicle and also clear the door frame. And beautifully complementing this Tsukuba Red exterior, our particular vehicle's interior has been fully upholstered in the standard black cloth upholstery. Leather seats are available on both 2.0 Turbo and 3.8-liter models of the Genesis Coupe. For the 2.0 Turbo version, you would have to step up to the premium version over the standard base model. Now to start this Genesis Coupe with the proximity key fob is very simple. All you have to do is have the standard key fob anywhere within the vehicle. In this case, just put your foot on the brake, then simply locate and hit the beautiful gloss black engine start button in the dash to fire up the engine. A beautiful smooth startup from that 2-liter twin-scroll turbocharged 4-cylinder power plant. Now to make the Genesis Coupe a little bit more sporty than some of the more modern two-door sports cars out there on the market, Hyundai has gone for a little bit more of a conventional theme with the Genesis Coupe. For starters, they have a full-on hydraulic power-assisted steering system versus a much more modern electric system like a lot of modern sports cars use today. The steering is actually very heavy. You will get a little bit of a workout turning the wheel, especially when stationary, but nevertheless, it's put through a full leather-trimmed 3-spoke steering wheel with a full, big, thick silver accented rim here at the bottom. All of your buttons and creature comforts on all different sides of the wheel, with a nice soft grain airbag cover here front and center. A nice soft, supple feel to the exterior leather rim, the beautiful silver color contrast stitching going around the interior, as well as the standard nice grip bolstering extensions at about 10 and 2 o'clock. Now the only available transmission to most of the Genesis Coupe is an electronically controlled 8-speed Shift-tronic automatic transmission, With available Shift-tronic manual shifting capabilities, and Genesis Coupe specific only, is a new downshift rev matching system. Now, if you don't wish to take control of the gears manually via the up and down portion here to the left-hand portion of the drive portion of the shifter, you can actually take control of the gears via these large silver paddle shifters mounted here on the back of the steering wheel, using the right one to shift up and the left one to shift down. They're nice and thick, very easy to grip onto, with a nice little ribbed back here to allow for a little bit more of a finger pressing capability. Now, if you don't want the automatic and you want a little bit more of a pure driving experience and really unleash the horsepower of that 2-liter turbo, the R-Spec version of this vehicle will offer a standard 6-speed manual transmission instead. And as you can hear, the vehicle does come standard with electronic child protective safety locks, which will automatically lock the Genesis Coupe once it's put into gear, and will only unlock the vehicle once the car is put back into park. Nice and heavy emergency brake, nice and light though at the same time. Naturally, as a 2-door coupe, both windows are fully automatic in both directions. And once you close the very large doors to the Genesis Coupe with the proximity key fob in your possession, you can hear that the vehicle generates an audible exterior chime to let you know it's lost detection of its proximity key fob. Now, for the Genesis Coupe, just like its first generation, which lasted from 2010 until 2012, the 2013 and 14 Genesis Coupe come with 2 available power plant choices. More basic models like this come with 1 available power plant. However, much more upgraded models such as the 3.8 come with a standard 3.8-liter dual overhead cam 24-valve Lambda Series V6. Now, originally that motor produced about 306 horsepower and about 280 pound-feet of torque. However, now for the second generation of this vehicle, it produces 348 horsepower and about 320 pound-feet of torque. However, for those who want a little bit more fuel economy but still want the same driving fun, you have what we have today. Opening the hood of this 2-liter turbo model, we find Hyundai's 2-liter dual overhead cam 16-valve inline 4-cylinder engine that is also equipped with a twin-scroll turbocharger and intercooler. Now, this is not the same 2-liter turbo like you would find in the Sonata Sport 2.0 Turbo. Instead, this one is a slightly altered version, but this motor here produces 274 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. Now, one benefit about this vehicle is that you can actually run it on 2 different types of fuel. Normally, with a turbocharged vehicle, you would expect the car to run purely on premium unleaded gasoline, and it can still do so, which produces the full 274 horsepower. However, if you want to downgrade a little bit but still want good fuel economy, you can actually run this vehicle on 87 octane regular unleaded gasoline. However, you will only be getting about 260 horsepower compared to the 274 on premium unleaded gasoline. However, on premium unleaded gasoline, you can expect a miles per gallon rating of 17 miles per gallon city and 27 miles per gallon on the interstate highway with the available 8-speed automatic. And now let's see about a few quick revs of that 2-liter turbocharged 4-banger and see what kind of soundtrack she produces. A much deeper and much more bassy rumble from that 2-liter 4-banger. And with all of that being done, let's go ahead and turn on the headlights. You do have the option of them being automatic, as well as turn on the fog lights and the hazard lights as usual. And now let's take this opportunity to take a quick walk around to the exterior of the Genesis Coupe. Now, albeit the fact that our Genesis Coupe we're looking at today is the most basic available model for the Genesis Coupe lineup, it still does come with quite a lot of unique features. Starting off, we have these beautiful black and chrome bezeled halogen projector headlights, factory LED accented fog lights down below. The LED accents are also the LED daytime running lights. Now, depending on which level of a driver you are, you have 3 different options for both different trim levels of the Genesis Coupe. You can have a more basic model, such as this one. You can step up to the 2.0 Turbo Premium if you want things like leather seats and so on. But then you can also have the most raw and basic form of the vehicle in the form of the R-Spec. Now, the R-Spec is, of course, the purest driving experience that you will get for both the 2-liter turbo and 3.8-liter V6 models of the Genesis Coupe. If you step up to the 3.8-liter model of the Genesis, you'll step up to things like the 3.8 Base, 3.8 Premium, and 3.8 Ultimate, which is kind of like the 3.8 track from the previous generation of the Genesis Coupe. Now, even though this is a more basic model, we do still have the standard set of 18-inch painted silver aluminum alloy wheels, wrapped in high-performance Bridgestone Potenza tires, monochromatic exterior mirrors, intermittently timed rain-sensing wipers, and even though our vehicle today does not have it, a power tilting and sliding sunroof is also an available option on Genesis Coupe. You can definitely see a lot of swoops, curves, and a lot of beautiful lines to really set this vehicle apart from anything else in its segment. For example, this more rounded portion of the rear window here, it's not so much like a lot of the straight windows that you see on a lot of the other two-door coupes in the segment. And edging towards the back, your ears instantly catch wind of that beautiful purr coming out of that dual triangular exhaust. Now, as standard equipment on 2.0 Turbo and 3.8-liter models, there's standard LED taillights. The full red portion is all illuminates, and it actually looks a little bit evil because even though the line is somewhat clean and very swoopy, you have these beautiful angles and beautiful shapes all located inside of the taillights. And once you turn the taillights on, it almost looks like an evil set of eyes looking back at you as you're driving away. This one also has the optional rear deck lid spoiler. You do have the option of that actually being non-existent on the vehicle. If you prefer a little bit more of a clean swooping back end to your Genesis Coupe. Rear defrosting, heated rear glass. Shark fin style antenna for the XM satellite radio. Definitely an absolutely beautiful spectacle to look at. Probably one of the purest and most raw driving forms you will ever find from any car company outside of Japan or America. Now that we've had a good look around the exterior of the Genesis Coupe, let's go ahead and take a better look at what makes up the interior. As stated previously, our particular vehicle today is sporting the standard black cloth upholstery. You can of course get these seats in multiple different colors depending on which trim level you get. You have the standard colors like black and beige and even gray. But then on like a special model, like if you get a 3.8 Premium or even a 2.0 Turbo Premium, you can actually get this sort of cinnamon brown color interior, which is a very, very beautiful interior color to look at. It's got a manually adjustable driver's seat. And even on a more basic Genesis Coupe, you still get all of the electronic creature comforts you'd expect. You have automatic one-touch driver and passenger windows, your power door locks and power mirrors, also your power trunk release and gas cap release. And over here to the left, you have your traction control button, which you really don't want to mess with because this car does have a lot of horsepower, and also your instrumentation dimming, and also your trip meter and reset button just to the left of the gauge cluster. Also a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. Now, stepping into the interior of the Genesis Coupe, even though we are in the most basic available model for the Genesis Coupe line, the interior still has all of the beautiful styling cues that you would expect from Hyundai's game-changing plans. For example, the whole swooping center console here with all three of these all-new gauges here in the center, and these actually will vary between the 2.0 Turbo and the 3.8 liter model, but we'll cover that in a second. All of this here is all new. Everything that they've done to the interior has been completely redone to take over from where the 2012 and previous generation left off. So for example, let's start up here at the top. If you get a 2.0 Turbo Premium, you are going to get a nice big navigation screen that will sort of be indented back in towards the center part of the center console, but still a nice wide, almost, I think it's a 7-inch touchscreen display back in there. But in this one, you have this nice blue LCD display that displays your relevant air conditioning and temperature controls. And you've also got outside temperature and your clock, and that's also a part of your radio display as well. Now, speaking of the radio, definitely a wonderful thing to listen to. Now down here you have all of your preset radio buttons. This vehicle does come with hands-free Bluetooth, as you heard before, along with XM satellite radio and MP3 capabilities. All of your different buttons down here, you have the availability to turn the display off. Also, scan the radio, your setup and clock, vehicle information. You have your media button, CD player, XM satellite radio, and standard AM/FM. Also have your seat track buttons and your category or folder button, and that goes to the XM satellite radio as well. Now down here in the middle, you're probably wondering what all these little gauges actually do. These little gauges here are, number one, you have your active fuel economy meter, so you don't have that on your LCD display up top. That is displayed as a gauge down here in the center console. In this case, the middle one is your turbo pressure meter and also your oil temperature meter over here on the far right. Have your hazard switch, your passenger airbag light, and down here the climate controls are actually somewhat separated and not so much in a cluster. Move that out of the way for a second. You have your temperature control over here on the far left, front and rear defrosting and automatic AC, air conditioning, recycling, and also the draw-in from the outside AC. You have your introducing your AC and also your fan speed over here to the far right. All separated by a nice little storage, which includes your iPod, USB, and auxiliary input as standard equipment. Also, as you can see, this beautiful Genesis Coupe insignia down here in the bottom. Now, as far as the gear shifter itself goes, you've got a beautiful leather-wrapped shift knob with a beautiful piece of polished aluminum here with nice bits of chrome accenting. A beautiful gloss black gate here, almost a ghost-like kind of gate. The only thing that tells you there's actually a shifter there is obviously the stock rising out of it, and this small little gate right here which allows the shifter to move between the automatic and manual modes. But other than that, it's completely shrouded. It's not an externally exposed gate. And here in the middle you have this beautiful brushed dark gray trim that runs all the way from just under the radio all the way down just to behind the shifter. You've also got dual cup holders, a full leather padded center console, and this is a cool little feature here. If by some chance your vehicle runs out of batteries and you have to get into the vehicle manually, you can actually use the proximity key fob itself to actually start the vehicle. As you know, the vehicle does come standard with push button ignition. So if this thing runs out of batteries, or perhaps somehow the vehicle's ignition system becomes a little screwed up, you can stick this ignition key right in there, and as you can see, it holds it in place just fine. And if you want to eject it, just push on it again, pops the key fob right out of the slot. So that's kind of your emergency way of starting the Genesis Coupe if by some chance your smart key system becomes goofed up. Overall, this 2014 Genesis Coupe definitely defines what it means to be a raw, pure driving experience. Definitely a wonderful vehicle to be in. And definitely something great to look at. Just this driving position, looking out over those electroluminescent gauges, out over that long hood, knowing you've got over 270 horsepower up front from a 4-cylinder power plant, no less, is just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But with all that in mind, viewers, let's go ahead and turn off the engine. Just as simple as that. The vehicle even tells you goodbye. It has a little goodbye that displays up there on the screen. But neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the Genesis Coupe. This one here has had the optional cargo mat and full all-weather rear cargo tray loaded into the vehicle. You can see the cargo space is deep, but most would probably say it's not the best thing in the world. But still, it does offer plentiful amounts of space. You can stuff a couple of duffel bags or even a couple suitcases back here and be just fine. Now, the rear seats do actually fold down, or at least the rear seat itself, so you just pull this trigger here. And the whole rear seat actually becomes unlatched. Now, as far as aesthetics go on this vehicle, you do have actually quite a lot of soft touch material here. Not so much the hard plastics. I mean, there is a little bit, like this front part of the door panel here, but up top you can see it's all padded. You've got a nice leather padded piece here on the door panel, nice cloth inserts in the middle of the door, beautiful dark gray accents here on the lower part, and the same goes across the dash with this nice kind of faux stitching up here on the top to give it a little bit more of a luxurious feel. Now, to get access into the rear of the Genesis Coupe, you simply pull up on the front part of the seat. As you can see, slides forward nice and easy. As you can see, the whole seat folds completely flat. So you got a nice little opening back there that allows for a little bit more larger objects. And stepping into the back of the Genesis Coupe, surprisingly, even though it is a two-door vehicle, and this is handy, this nice little handle right here, even though it is a much heavier vehicle, it still actually is not as bad as you might think. Headroom, there really is none to be had. You really don't want to be a tall person in the back of this thing. If you can see, my head's right against the roof. I can't even lean back all the way. But neither here nor there. This car is all about the driving experience. It is not so much about being a super practical vehicle, but at the same time, you can fit probably a couple kids back there, to say the least. I'll go ahead and tilt the seat all the way back. Scoot you back a good ways. Again, full manually adjustable, and these big bolsters here too, nice and comfortable. And as far as keeping you safe while driving the Genesis Coupe, you have dual stage front impact airbags for both the driver and passenger. You've got side impact and side curtain airbags, along with ABS and electronic stability control as standard equipment. Now, sitting here on the passenger side of the vehicle, I do actually have quite a fair amount of room in here. It's not the most spacious thing in the world, but definitely I'm about 6'1", and my feet can stretch all the way to the end of this huge footwell here. Now, as far as the glove box, it is damped. It does fall nice and soft. You can see it's not lined with felt or anything, so not really the worst thing in the world to behold, but still, nevertheless, it provides all of your plentiful storage capabilities for all of your reading materials and so on. In conclusion, the Genesis Coupe definitely should be on the shopping list of anyone who wants to have a pure driving experience, over 270 horsepower from a 4-cylinder power plant, very good fuel economy, and still have the look, feel, and presence of a two-door sports car.